daily news on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Let's move straight to the front page of the dailies, and I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Rivers crisis. Wike Fubara sign accord as Tinubu brokers peace. How Tinubu, Odili, NSA, other stakeholders resolved face-off. Impeachment move against Fubara dropped. All matters in court to be withdrawn. G27 leader recognized as speaker. Governor to represent 2024 budget to Assembly. Remunerations, benefit of all lawmakers reinstated. House to choose where to sit. Names of commissioners who resigned to be resubmitted to House. Dissolution of local government administrations nullified. You can see that story on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And here below, there's a picture showing the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Chairman, Board of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPC Limited as Chief Piers, and also Group Managing Director, NNPC Limited, Meleki Ari, Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff to the President, and other members of the Board of NNPC Limited during the inauguration of the board at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, yesterday. And right above the leading story, we have a picture showing the panel meeting with the President at the Presidential Villa in Abuja yesterday. And the stories above the banner, we have banks borrowing from CBN rises 559% to 376.6 billion naira. On page 10, NGE to launch fund for media sustainability and professionalism. Coalition fought ECOWAS measures on Niger Republic. Fake employment, over 1,000 Nigerians stranded in United Kingdom. That's coming from IOMM. You can see that on page 9. And lastly, on Vanguard newspaper on page 8, Tinubu promises to uphold media freedom, respect divergent views. And now, the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with Fubara, Wike strike deal. Warren Camps signed 8-point agreement after presidential intervention, and the terms says all matters in court by Fubara and his team shall be withdrawn immediately. All impeachment proceedings should be dropped immediately. The House is led by Martin shall be recognized alongside the 27-member who resigned from the PDP. You can see that on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And on page 5, President pledges ease of doing newspaper business by leaders at Asovila. And right below the banner, 2 die in Alao Akala's house fire. Ministry canvasses Soul Day celebration, that can be seen on page 27. Stories above the banner, INEC fixes by-elections into Senate as orders for February. Catholic Church okays a blessing for same-sex couples. Lastly, on the Nation newspaper, Budget 2024, committees ordered to submit report. That can be seen on page 6. Now, the Guardian newspaper. Guardian is leading with Nigerians may burn over 1.5 trillion naira on cooking gas in 2024 amid incentives. Nigeria's delegation to COP28 is sensitive to economic reality. That can be seen on page 12. 3.5 billion naira debt. Court freezes Oyo's government account in 10 banks. You can see that on page 5. And irrigation, agriculture, experts recommend new land administration method. You can see that on page 4. INEC plans reruns by elections for February 2024. Senate gives panels 48 hours to submit 2024 budget report. Lastly, on the Guardian, Tinubu meets newspaper proprietors, promises press freedom and others. That can be seen on page 3. Now, the Punch newspaper. Punch is leading with National Assembly may pass budget Saturday. 541 MDAs and defense. Senate reps to harmonize appropriation bill eyes Saturday for passage. That's according to Senate spokesman. Committees submitting report. January to December budget cycle will be sustained, says a committee chair. On page 13 below, we have 2 killed as fire raises late Alao Akala's residents. Husband kills wife over food in Lagos. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. 800 billion naira illicit drug seized. 42,105 offenders nabbed. That's coming from Mara. Stories above. We have Pope Francis OK's blessing for same-sex couples. You can see that on page 2. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, Fubara, Wike reach trust as Tinubu intervenes again. That can be seen on page 13. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today News of Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshake. Joining us to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Dayo Akintobi. He is the publisher of Ilé Page Today, Lucky Today, and the Ikeja GRA Today. Good morning, Mr. Dayo.
Good morning, Damlola. Good morning to all of yours.
Yes, Mr. Dayo, just a few days to the Christmas. How are you preparing for it?
There's no sign of Christmas anywhere in Nigeria. Everywhere you go is quiet, and there's no signs of festivities. There's no excitement in the air. This looks like it's going to be a really bleak Christmas for many people.
All right, let's move straight to the front pages and start with Rivers crisis. What do you think about Wike and Fubara signing accord?
I saw that, as we know, they've been at daggers drawn for quite a while, and then the president initiated a peace party yesterday, and there were some heavyweights there. The National Security Advisor, Tinubu, was kind of like the arrowhead, and then Femi Gbajabiamila was there, the Vice President Shetima was there, and the elders in Rivers State, including former Governor Peter Odili, who it was said led Governor Fubara there. But at the end of the day, when you look at the resolutions reached, the 8-point memorandum that was released as the agreement reached between both warring parties, you look at it and it looks like Governor Fubara got the short end of the stick, because 7 out of those 8 resolutions are all against his interest. Only one, the first one that I could see, which is that impeachment moves against him will be dropped, seem to work in his favor. But the other 7 stack the deck against him, and I really don't know how he'll be able to operate effectively as the chief executive of that state in light of some of those understandings they reached. Let me give you an example. One of them was that the 27 lawmakers that defected to the APC will be accepted back into the House of Assembly. Meanwhile, Governor Fubara has a court order stating that those 27 lawmakers have lost their seats. He has a court order that empowers the other 5 that were remaining, that remain loyal to him, that recognizes them as the bona fide House of Assembly of Rivers State, and their chosen leader as the Speaker. And it was that group that he submitted the budget to, and which passed the budget, and he signed it into law. Part of this resolution is saying that budget must be represented. So my question is, will they repeal the law that they've already passed in order to represent it? It's never happened in the history of politics in Nigeria that the governor will present a budget twice. Secondly, if he represents it now, the 27 lawmakers that he will be presenting it to, for all intents and purposes, they are his enemies. They are not people. I mean, they defected because they were not interested in collaborating with him to move Rivers State forward. That's why they left the PDP and went to the APC. So he's not going to be in a game of moves whereby he's the only one standing alone. Well, the other 5 will be with him, but they're powerless against 27. So you have 27 APC representatives, so assembly people, in a state where he, as the chief executive, is in the PDP. How will he be able to govern? And I don't see how they will not impeach him eventually, in spite of what they have put in the resolution. Then they also say the 9 commissioners will resign. He must take them back. They are saying the emoluments that the 27 would have forfeited during the time that they were out of the House of Assembly, they must get all their emoluments. So I look at it and I say, this is not a workable solution. It is not. Because I don't see how Governor Fubara can function. So I think he was either bullied or coerced into signing this thing, because all of it goes against his survival, goes against his ability to function. So it makes no sense to me that he would have entered into such an agreement willingly and voluntarily. I don't understand it, because he can't survive.
One of the things that people are talking about is that the remuneration and benefit of all members of the Rivers State House of Assembly and their staff must be reinstated immediately. And he said and the government must not interfere with the full funding of the Rivers State House of Assembly. How is that possible?
Well, remember that theoretically the House of Assembly is supposed to be autonomous. Remember that we fought over that for a long time in terms of judicial autonomy and legislative autonomy. So the way it's supposed to work, right, is that the legislature is supposed to get its money directly. It's not supposed to be interfered with or influenced by the governor. So essentially what they're saying in that resolution is that Governor Fubara should in no way interfere with the remuneration of the lawmakers. Because when the 27 defected, effectively he gave a directive that all the monies that should go to them, whether as allowances, wages, whatever the case may be, vehicles, all that, should be suspended. He used, whether it was an executive order or whatever means it was, to put that directive in place. So they're not trying to tie his hands and say you can't interfere, which I think is a subsisting law that does not allow the executive to interfere anyway. But remember, this was all-out war, to where this 27 basically declared war against the governor by defecting to another party. So at that point, all gloves were off, and the governor deployed whatever means were, whatever arsenal was at his disposal to make sure that he pushed those people in the corner from where they could not come out of. Well, now the president and the elders of Rivers State have freed those 27 legislators to now come back and cause mayhem to the administration of Governor Fubara. I don't think that resolution or that agreement is in his best interest.
All right, let's move away from that and talk about the meeting with the president, the MPAN meeting with the president yesterday. So the president has vowed that his administration will always uphold media freedom and respect opinions, and he will carefully consider the request for a review of policies affecting the newspaper industry. What do you think about it as a publisher yourself?
Well, it's quite interesting. I mean, I'm glad that the president recognized the importance of the media and the fact that the media and any administration have to have not an adversarial relationship, but a collaborating one. In other words, we, the media, are not here to always try to antagonize you or oppose you or always be criticizing you. No, we are partners in progress for the development and forward movement of the country. So any administration that sees the media as a partner in progress, they usually do much better than those who take the press as an enemy. The one thing that struck me funny was when President Tinubu said that he would guarantee the freedom of the press. I had a laugh at that because freedom of the press is in the Constitution. No individual human being can say I'm guaranteeing it to you because it's already entrenched in our law. What he should have said, and what I expected him to say is, we will not interfere with the freedom of the press, not that we will grant it to you. President Tinubu doesn't have the power to grant the freedom of press to anybody because the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, has already given us that freedom. But there have been some would-be despots who have tried to get in the way of press freedom, who will always seek to lock people up for saying what we thought was the truth, or who would basically intimidate the press into not reporting certain things. So I'm glad to know that he is saying his government will do that and will cooperate with the media.
Away from that, we're talking about fake employment, and according to the United Nations Migration Agency, International Organizations for Immigrations, that's the IOMM, it said that no fewer than 1,000 Nigerians are currently stranded in United Kingdom, having gotten visas based on the fake employment letters procured for them. What do you think about this?
Well, first thing is there are two parts to this. We understand that at this moment, this Japa syndrome, where everybody is trying to get out to greener pastures, is the trend now, especially among young Nigerians. That's not to say I agree with it totally, but I can understand why young Nigerians are desperate to get out because the future looks bleak. I believe that Nigeria will still be better, but for now, the youth believe that they don't have many opportunities in this country and their futures are very bright, so they're trying to get away. So when you find a situation whereby there's 1,000 Nigerians in the UK who got scammed by some agents here who promised them employment that did not exist, the question I want to ask is, what was the embassy doing? If an agent here contrives to put together a package that is not real and you go and present it to the embassy, doesn't the embassy have a duty of care to ensure that the documents you are doing, they verify your bank statement, they verify everything you tell them about your background in Nigeria. Isn't it incumbent upon them to verify that this letter of employment or this letter of sponsorship you are bringing is also valid? What does it take for the British Embassy in Nigeria to confirm through its home office or whatever agencies in the UK to confirm that this offer of employment is real? So what it tells me is that the British don't really care about us. They just want to collect our money, collect our visa fees, they don't care. Because if they cared, they would not create a situation whereby they would give us a visa that is founded on a faulty foundation. They would do whatever they needed to do to ensure that there's due process, that everything is intact and correct and legitimate about your application. Now they're only checking the Nigerian side of things. They're not checking the UK side of things, which is making our people vulnerable. That's why we now have 1,000 people are stuck because somebody scammed them. They are telling them, here is a letter of employment, and you get there, I've got your visa, and they get there, there's no employment. How did the British Embassy here drop the ball? I don't understand that, and I put the blame squarely on them. And as far as I'm concerned, they should sort out those 1,000 Nigerians. It shouldn't be up to the Nigerian Embassy in the UK to sort them out, because the UK Embassy in Nigeria gave them a visa based on a false premise, and they had a duty of care to confirm. All of the details in that application should have been confirmed. And then these agents who are exploiting our youth, it's unconscionable. I think the government should go after them. They're not ghosts, they're not phantoms. If an agent is misrepresenting reality, collecting money from you, saying I will get you employment and I will get you sponsorship, and it's all built on the foundation of lies and untruth and fake offers of employment, who is holding those agents accountable? What they're doing can't be legal. So the two people I have to blame is British Embassy and whatever agents, and I think both of them should be taken to task. Not these poor innocent Nigerians who have gone somewhere, probably sold land, sold property, sold cars to raise the money. Because apart from paying the agent, you're also paying visa fees, you're buying tickets, you're paying, all kinds of monies. And many people have staked all of their life savings, everything they're worth, they put into this venture, and they end up with nothing. And now they're stuck. They can't come back. They can't go forward. They don't have employment. They don't have property left. All the money is gone. It brings a tear. It makes my heart bleed. It makes me very sad.
But what can they do for those people? Because it's likely that they'll be sent back to Nigeria. And when they come back to Nigeria, there's nothing to it there.
British government, maybe they have to give them a dispensation and allow them to stay there and rehabilitate them and get them employment, because this embassy was responsible for giving them a visa on a false premise. So they now become the property of the British government. It's the British government's responsibility, yes. So they should sort them out over there. You can't bring them back here because you sent them there on a false premise. So now that they're there, they're your responsibility. Now rehabilitate them, put them up in housing, give them proper jobs. You now have to find them proper jobs. Since you sent them out, listen, what is a visa? A visa is a permit to go on this basis. You gave them permission to go on a basis that was not real. They are your problem. They are the British government's problem. And I don't think they should be brought back. I think the British government should take responsibility and sort them out over there.
Let's move away from that and lastly talk about this. The Pope Francis has granted permission for priests to bestow blessings upon same-sex couples, marking a significant milestone for the LGBTQIA plus community within the Roman Catholic Church. What's your take on this?
This is a very controversial issue. The Catholic Church, that is the pinnacle of Christianity, really. And of course, Christianity's position all along has been that the Bible forbids same-sex interaction, same-sex marriages. And in Nigeria here, we even have laws against homosexuality. So LGBTQ does not fit with our culture. It does not fit with our way of life. We abhor it totally. And we're very strongly religious, whether Islam, whether Muslim, whether Christian, very strongly religious. So what the Pope has done basically is that he's looked at the trend. He's looked at the changing times, because if you look at it, starting from when Obama first legalized same-sex marriage and things, if you look at the way of the world generally, this LGBTQ thing is taking over and is becoming the norm. In fact, if you are in the UK, the US, or any of these quote-unquote developed countries, and you go against LGBTQ publicly, you lose your job, lose your business, they will boycott you. If you openly say you don't support, they will boycott your business. So it has become the order of the day in the Western world. We, here in Africa, we don't accept it. Now, the Pope probably has looked at the way the world is changing and has said, no, while the church does not endorse same-sex marriage, he's telling his clergy that if anybody comes to you and says, marry us, don't send them away, because God does not reject any of his creations. Don't send them away, but bless them. So the Pope is actually talking from both sides of his mouth. He's saying, bless them on the one hand, but the church is not endorsing same-sex marriage. So you ask yourself, that is that not a contradiction? On the one hand, can you say you are blessing something that you are not endorsing? Can you bless something that you don't approve of? That's the part that is a bit convoluted in that Pope's declaration yesterday. But in Nigeria here, which is what matters to me and what matters to us, we know we don't sanction anything LGBTQ, even though it is seeping into our culture, which is why we are seeing the Bobrisky's of this world and all the other people who are, whether substantively or propagandistically, wanting to be adherents of this LGBTQ movement. Bottom line is, culturally, religiously, socially, and legally, we stand against it. Right? So no Catholic church in Nigeria is going to bless any same-sex marriage, in spite of what the Pope says, which is what matters most to us. Because remember, there's canonical law, which is Pope's dictate. Canonical law, does it supersede constitutional law? If our constitutional law says homosexuality is illegal, canonical law cannot supersede that. So no Catholic priest in Nigeria will whether bless, marry, approve, consecrate, anytime we want to do. No priest in Nigeria will do that in the face of Nigeria's extant laws. So I don't know how. Remember, Nigeria, even the Anglican Communion in Nigeria broke away from the Anglican Communion in the UK based on this gay matter, based on the Archbishop of Canterbury recognizing same-sex, or recognizing that LGBTQ people have a right to also belong to the body of Christ. So Nigeria and most of Africa is standing stoutly against this movement. So we don't care the way the rest of the world is going. We want to maintain our own culture. And the way I look at it is, if same-sex couples going to a Catholic church to get a blessing to marry, how are they themselves created? How did they themselves come about to be human beings? If it was man and man that went for blessing, would any of those two people ever become human beings, or ever be born, or ever be alive? So to me, the movement doesn't make sense.
You must end this on lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. The first person speaking this morning is Mrs. Who says that you selected the biggest piece of meat from the pot, knowing fully well that we are expecting some guests. What do you call that? And Mr. says, home advantage.
Yeah, of course, yes. The home advantage comes to those at home first before those who are coming from outside.
So I'm old, I need to eat. When I'm good at eating, then people coming.
Then just can get my leftovers.
Thank you, Mr. Dayo Akintobi, for joining us today.
Pleasure.
And this is where we have to draw the curtain. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. Do want to like and follow us on all our social media platforms shown on your screen, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. Have a lovely Tuesday.